welcome everyone to Into the Pit. I have here, it's Nathan and Ashley.
Yes.
Yes.
I got it right. Yes. Okay, and they are with PFIR?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you tell me what that stands for?
Okay, that actually stands for Paranormal Folklore Investigation and Research.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yep. We were a part of another group before this. We just didn't like how they managed their team and their group, so we had to break off and kind of do our own little thing. It just how it happened.
That's how it happened. And the cool thing is we don't just do just paranormal because, I think everybody's curious about different theories of life, urban legends, folklore. There's so many questions of why, who, what, where, when, why. So we are really big on investigating not just paranormal, but also other urban legends. To me, that's more the fun side of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what sets you apart from other teams is you kind of get into the urban legends and think, oh, nice.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, you sound like you had a similar situation to what my wife and I had when we first, or she was already on a team. I kind of came in later on and we didn't like the way things were going. And
Yep.
Well, anyway.
It happens. It's business,
It is. I tried two different other teams. Didn't work out so well. It's like, let's just do our own thing. So y'all.
That's kind of what we decided.
So y'all are a couple?
Ooh. No, but we get that a lot. You have no idea.
Hey, I just thought I'd ask.
Yep.
So tell me what got you into doing the paranormal?
For me, actually, it started when I was about 14. That's when my curiosity sort of peaked. That branched off from seeing things myself as a little girl, about 7 years old. I had seen things. And of course, as a child, when you start seeing things, your parents are naturally going to try to find ways to kind of reason with you so that you're not afraid. So growing up, I told myself I was seeing my guardian angel. I know for sure now, looking back, that's not what it was, but I wasn't afraid. So I started really investigating, doing research about 14 years old. And that's now grown into more of a passion of mine where I want to know more. I then got my certificate as a minister back in 2018. So I use that a lot with what I do for counseling and everything for families who are going through, especially if it's poltergeist activity. I mean, they need resources, they need help. That's some scary stuff to go through. So that's where it started for me.
And you
for me, back in 2016, I actually crossed over 3 or 4 different times to another side. Happened with another incident of mine with an ex of mine and her family. Ended up a knife being in the situation. I got stabbed a few times and I crossed over. Big story right there, but that really piqued my interest in the paranormal stuff and how it all works, I guess, together. The whole universe works. I'm just very infatuated with that now.
Oh, got you. So tell me about your first official investigation.
First official investigation. That was a big one, to be honest. It was an actual exorcism.
Oh.
I was right in the middle of an exorcism, coming in just completely new, completely did not know anything, just thrown into the mix. I was under another company as the company's API, just throwing that out there. But we were under him, under Rob.
Del Judas,
yes. We were under him, and he said everything was going to be okay. We were doing exorcism on another teammate that had some stuff going on with him, some internal demons, and we actually got it out that night, and there was you seen fireworks, I tell you that.
And that all occurred because, of course, he was probably touching things he shouldn't have been. And that's why we want people to understand, like, this business is very serious. It's not something you play around with. You don't go and you touch artifacts and stuff that have been taken from homes thinking it's a game. It's not a game,
Exactly.
So, and recently, this was back in July, there was a house actually in Hubert, North Carolina. we had gotten a call on. It was a woman and her 2 children. I say kids, they were like 18 and 20. And they had talked about some activity that had been going on in the home. So we're like, okay, let's go check it out. First thing we want to do is to try to debunk anything that's happening. We don't just go in there and say, okay, we're going to do a paranormal investigation. We want to find out, okay, if the lights are blinking, why? We're going to find someone to come in there to find out why your lights are blinking. If there's noises in the attic, why? We want to find everything we can to try to disprove through logic and reason what's going on. And then once it gets to the point where we cannot disprove anything, that's when we move into phase 2, which is the paranormal investigation. That's when we set up the cameras. That's when we set up everything and really monitor it. But in this home, actually, it was to the point where, a butcher knife flew into a wall.
Oh,
you can't just explain. Yeah. You cannot explain that. There's no logical reason why that's happening unless someone's there throwing it.
And I was actually the one getting scratched at that house. I remember that. There was a mirror in a bedroom, and we had taken multiple pictures of it before I got scratched, and no fingerprints on the mirror, no fingerprints on me, nothing. It was a bathroom right beside us, and we actually, my arm started burning bad, just like fire ants or something like that, and got a few pictures of that, and it said my name on the voice box, and it said scratch Nathan Mirror, and we looked in the mirror. There was 3 scratches. There's 3 scratches on my arm, and we tried to debunk that, but there was no debunking that whatsoever.
Oh my gosh! Now see, when it comes to the cleaver going into the wall, I could explain that. I would have said my ex-wife was in the room, but
That's not right.
Now let's take a little step back, because the people that are watching or listening to this, I like for them to get to kind of know you on a little more personal level, so they know what you're all about. So whatever you'd like to share, tell me a little bit about you, where you grew up and all that kind of stuff.
All right. I'm actually from Raleigh, North Carolina. Not even from around here. I moved out here back in 2016 due to just wanting a new fresh start from my home where I grew up and where I just wanted to go away. And moved out here. Now I'm just, I've always been infatuated with cars and stuff like that as well. So I became a mechanic. Have a lot of shops out here that I worked at. I'm working at one right here in Swansboro now, but I'm simple, very country,
typical
just
man.
Typical.
That's the way to be, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And what about you, Ashley?
So I'm actually originally from Annapolis, Maryland. I've lived all over due to the military. My dad was in the Army, so I moved back to here to North Carolina in 2016 from Louisiana. I was there for about 5 years. So I'm here. I'm actually an insurance agent by day, and a ghost hunter at night. That's what I do.
I have to ask, what part of Louisiana?
G. Ritter.
G. Ritter? Okay.
G. Ritter.
So. My wife is from the Morgan City area.
Okay. Morgan City. I've heard of that. I don't know exactly where that is, but.
Have you ever watched Swamp People?
I have. Yep.
Okay, they're real close to that.
Okay.
In fact, Troy Landry is my wife's cousin, so.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool.
Got to meet him at a family wedding. He's a character, to say the least.
Oh, I can imagine. Shoot him.
He actually said that while we were there. we were taking pictures, and he says, "Yeah, shoot him."
That is great.
But what else would you like people to know about you? Because that's very important to know what kind of investigator you are. So what's your philosophies and things like that.
So our slogan is to replace fear with curiosity. Of course, demons, spirits, it can be very scary. It really can be. We've gone through events where, I've I'm not gonna lie, I've been terrified, you know, but it's more or less is getting to a true understanding, you know, and educating about, you know, what you're dealing with. Because half the time, I mean, when we go on things, there's a lot of times we don't find something, or if we do, it could just be a family member saying hello, wanting to pass out, pass on. That's one thing. But then we also deal with darker entities, and that's a lot of what we do specialize in, is the darker entities, you know, ridding demons from someone's house, you know, and especially in North Carolina, Eastern North Carolina, there's a lot of history. I mean, the war and everything that's happened, piracy, I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened over here, you know, a lot of history. So that really plays into it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, with all that history and everything that goes on, and you know, you said you deal with the darker stuff.
Yes.
That's kind of a dangerous area to get into in the paranormal
Mhm.
field. So, I mean, what prepared you for that?
Power of Christ, honestly.
Yep.
It's all about my faith in Jesus. I mean, there's nothing, there's no other greater power that I can have, and I cannot be more prepared than taking that faith with me. That's the only thing that's going to help. You know, you can try to go in there, you know, armored up and everything ready to go, but unless you have God backing you and you 100% believe in what it is you are doing, you can't do it. There's no possible way. You know, and the greatest thing is that's a gift that was passed on to us. You know, it doesn't take the Catholic Church specifically. You know, really anyone with that faith, a strong, you know, faith, you know, as small as a mustard seed is all it takes to be able to do this type of, to be able to do this type of work. I mean, it's not easy. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm ordained myself. I
Okay.
was actually a Baptist preacher for about 5 years.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I know being of faith, you tell other people that are Christians what you do, you seem to get ridiculed a lot. Do y'all
Yeah.
come across that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, we get looked at like we're crazy. I mean, but it's kind of expected with the territory.
Yeah.
You know, even my, it's funny, my own dad, he does not, he's a skeptic. You know, and I expect that, you know, it's okay. I don't feel any type of way about that. It's fine. But it's funny. He actually called me the other day. My grandfather, this is why we were in Louisiana recently. My grandfather actually passed away a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so my dad, though, he called me the other night, and he had just gone to bed and, you know, hadn't closed his eyes yet, was wide awake and had his back to the door. And he heard James really, really loud. And so he was like, what? He turned over expecting to see my grandmother, who passed away in 2015. You know, 100% expected that she was going to be standing there. And so he called me. He's like, I can't explain how that happened. I have no idea. He's like, but I don't believe this. I'm like, of course you don't, because you don't actually, I think most people don't believe in it until something happens to them. You know, it's one of those, you have to see the evidence before you're going to believe. So,
you know, the weird thing is even though I've experienced a lot of stuff and I've seen concrete evidence, and as long as I've been doing it, I still find myself doubting at times.
yeah.
Yep.
Did I really see that? Yeah.
Yeah. And you naturally want to question things that aren't normal. You know, so I think that's just natural for everyone.
And if you're like me, I like it when people are critical and they're doubters, and they come in and they say, oh, you know, this is a bunch of baloney. It makes me want to work harder.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know when we were with API, we had a team member named Josh who I loved, because he was the first one to call bullshit on anything, you know, which is great, because I feel like you kind of need that dose of reality, especially if you're getting really deep into it. It can get to the point where you're starting to question what's real and what's not. So it's nice to have that outside perspective, that other pair of eyes that says, okay, we're getting a little bit too deep. Let's pull back a little bit. This is what's going on, you know? So I definitely agree with that.
So have y'all ever gone to a location that everybody and their brother believes is haunted, and it's been, you know, a tale for years and years and years, and you go in and you find logical explanations to what's going on?
Honestly, we don't even try to go around to the ones that a lot of people go to. We kind of avoid those because everyone does go to those. We don't want just we're not the same paranormal group that just does the same thing over and over. We know that if there's a place or an entity attached to something, we're not going to investigate that no further because we already have the facts. We're looking for new stuff. Hey, you know, that abandoned building down the road, or
residential calls
or stuff like that. Just find new things to do and make our own stuff as well.
Because you don't want to beat a dead horse. I mean, you want something fresh. If everybody's doing the same thing, it doesn't leave any interest. You know, nobody wants, they've already seen that 10 million times. You know, let's do something new.
I've actually been to a place that another team had been to, and they came to the people there and was telling them, oh man, this happened. And, you know, they had all this evidence. Oh, yes, this place is definitely haunted. And then, you know, as time went on, they wanted somebody else's perspective. And so they called us in, and we get there, and I found, oh, this is easily explained. You know, it's like, oh, we hear a voice about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning screaming. And if you just pay attention, there's a bar right down the road, like a block. And at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, when they close, people are coming out and they're hooping and hollering, you know, and screaming.
That's funny.
Oh, and we hear these knocking sounds, and when the air conditioner goes off and on, the false ceilings pop up and down. Yep. So it's like, that's pretty easily explained. Or the one, how do you explain this chair rolling across the floor upstairs? Well, there was a fax machine upstairs, and every time it resets, it sounds like it's something rolling down the hall.
I love those. Those are fun. When you're trying to debunk stuff and you find logical explanations, it's like, there's your problem. There's your ghost right there.
Yeah. If you've had something that y'all just done on your own that kind of sticks out above the rest, where would that be?
That's actually a really tough question.
The urban legends, probably.
Yeah, the urban legends. That's.
I don't know. I was gonna say, like, I mean, we're doing the Octagon, like this weekend. We're meeting with a bunch of new recruits, like this weekend on Saturday, at a place called the Octagon House in Cedar Point, and it's actually a house that was built in 1850. And the cool thing about it is that land right there, from one, it's an old Indian camping ground. Not only that, but it's right there on the waterway, so there was a lot of piracy that happened there, and also it was used as a medical field during the Civil War. A lot of the soldiers from Fort Macon were brought there, well, because of the time and distance, you know, a lot of them were dead half the time when they got there. So there's a lot of death that's happened there. So that's where we're taking a lot of new recruits this weekend to kind of introduce them, people that are interested in it, to kind of get their feet wet and see what kind of pictures we can get. So
has it been mostly just you two, or have you had other people in the group?
So our company is very brand new, brand new. So like I said, we worked for API for a while doing stuff under there, and we just didn't like the direction it was going. So we decided to start our own. So our company's brand new. But we're basically picking up where we left off, just in a slightly different direction as that they were going.
Okay. Yeah, I run across y'all on Instagram, and I saw a lot of the places you went to. I'm like, these guys look interesting. I have to get them on. So you're kind of fresh out of the gate with this team, and what kind of equipment do y'all have?
EVPs,
the
thermal. We have a thermal imager. We have quite a good list, I would say.
Cameras and everything. We don't want, but you know what? You really don't need high expensive equipment for this. You really don't. I mean, honestly, half of the pictures we have are just our cell phones. You know, just quick little pictures. I mean, because you can do rapid imaging, you know what I mean, to take as many as you want. And that's a lot of what we do. That's what we recommend. You don't need the fancy equipment. You know, the thermal heat imaging, that's great. You know, that kind of gives you an idea of where you want to start taking pictures at, you know, but really just a good camera, you know what I mean, is really all you need, honestly. So, and that's where all the pictures we've just about gotten are from.
Yeah. Talking with the guys from Ghost Hunters, and about some of the equipment, because there's equipment that they even used back when they first started, you know, on TV with taps, you know, that they kind of like, you know, we don't even use that stuff anymore because we've kind of figured out this doesn't really work the way, you know, you think it works. And so we had all this equipment that we had bought before, and now I look at it and go, you know what, they're kind of right. This thing can be debunked, you know, it's not work. But have you seen the photon camera that they have?
I have not
I have
actually. No.
Okay, you have to go back and watch this last season and check
Mhm.
out the camera that they use.
Mhm.
It
Okay.
will blow your mind, to say the least. So I'm trying to talk them into bringing it with them when they come to Texas so I can check it out. But
All
Oh
right.
yeah, that would be great.
I don't think, unless we hit the lotto, I don't think we can afford it. So
Yeah, I'm not. Mm-mm.
basically instincts, a
Yep.
camera, the night vision cameras always
Yep.
come in handy. Just say the thermal imager, that kind of
Mhm.
Yep.
thing.
Exactly.
We had gotten SLS, and I believe at times it does work, but for the most part, it just finds something and it tries to map something out. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
those are cool.
I mean, it's cool. I don't get
But
me
it
wrong.
just it kind of it will it's too complicated for its own good, pretty much.
Yeah,
It-
I can see
Yeah.
that.
The only time I can say that I believe it really, really worked is we were in
Mhm.
a house, and there was a lady that lived there that she had this couch, and then there was a chair sitting next to it.
Yeah.
And her mother had passed away in that house. And she said that all the time that her mother would lean over on that chair and kind of talk to her while she was laying down on the couch. And so while we were there, this image showed up in the chair.
hmm
And I'm like, okay, is this really happening, or is
Mhm.
it mapping the chair? And we're like, is this so and so? And then you see it lean over like it was talking to somebody.
Oh,
And I'm like,
that's cool.
can you wave at us? And the little hand comes up and goes like this. I'm like,
Whoa.
okay, I think this is working now.
That is cool. I wish I could have seen that. That's cool.
So have you ever had a piece of equipment like go wrong on an
Yes.
investigation?
A lot. More times than it goes right, to be honest. We have had my thermal imager. I'm not sure exactly what goes on with it, but we were out just where were we? We were out towards Swansboro on some hunting land. All right, had thermal camera out. It was taking great photos. You could see the transition from hot and cold and what the trees were and the ground, all that stuff. Then all of a sudden, everything just went red hot,
Yeah.
and it just would not come off. It would just stay. Everything was hot as just
So
hot.
fog was coming in.
Yep, and then it would get real cold, and then it would just. I'm just like, okay, this is just too complicated. I can't. Let's just go back to pictures.
Just go back to the camera.
I got to tell you a story real quick. So you're familiar with Seguin, Texas? You've heard of it?
I have heard of it, yes.
Okay, that's where the Magnolia Hotel's at.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there's a house down the road from it that we got invited to come investigate. And I had some night vision cameras we had set up throughout the house, and it has a little like an iPad type thing so you can watch in real time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it just went out. And I'm like, look, I charged the stupid thing. I don't understand what's going on. This is not that old. What's going on? And so we had a guy there that's kind of like our equipment manager, I guess you'd say. I mean, we all do all the jobs, but he's kind of our equipment guy. But he's a genius when it comes to computers and things like that. So I'm like, can you check this out and see why it's not working? He said, yeah. So he opens it up, takes out the battery pack. Okay, the battery pack is in like this real hard plastic case, so you can't bend it. When he took it out, it was bent.
Oh.
Jeez.
Wow.
And that's why it stopped
Okay,
working.
explain that.
I can't figure out how it did that. I mean, it's in,
A
this
case.
It's in a case. So
Yeah.
how does this happen, But
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And of course, all those times you can't find the right wires.
Yep.
That's supposed to go to the equipment and all
Yeah, and that's why we just try to stay as basic. A lot of the new recruits is, oh, what do I need to bring? What I need to bring? I'm like, bring your phone, bring a flashlight, just bring basic stuff that's easy for one. I don't want to overcomplicate it. It's complicated enough. Let's keep it as simple as we can. It's going to get the job done regardless.
Yep.
So these people that are going with you, do they have experience, or this is something they're trying out, or what?
So we actually have a very wide array of people. So so even though I am a minister and I believe in the Christian faith, we welcome those from other walks of life, because I'm not naive enough to say that my way is 100% the right way for everybody.
Right.
So we actually have people who are,
Buddhist.
Buddhists. We have someone who's a self-proclaimed green witch. And a medium, stuff like that. So, we invite, because everybody has a different set of skills and gifts, I feel like, that they can use to contribute, to what we're doing. So, but yes, everybody who has applied are all people who claim to have some sort of experience, paranormal investigation, self-experiences, stuff like that. So that's what we try to, gear ourselves to, because we don't want someone who has absolutely no flipping clue what they're doing, because that could be, that can be dangerous, so.
Oh yeah. Well, all of us started out somewhere, sometime.
True. Exactly.
So
That's true.
If somebody came to you, they had no experience and they were curious, what kind of advice would you give them, and how would you help them along?
We would probably do some sort of like internship like we're doing. There's actually a girl, she's about 15, I believe, that was brought to us. And as long as her parents approve, certain things we would take her to. Like if we just did something simple like a graveyard, little things to kind of get her foot in the door to pique that curiosity, but in a safe, controlled environment. I'm not going to take someone with absolutely no experience right off the bat into a home where there's poltergeist activity. That's just crazy, because they're just going to run, or something bad's going to happen and I'm responsible. So, I think there's safe ways of introducing this lifestyle, if that's what it is, to someone who doesn't have experience, and then they can slowly grow from that.
Okay. Well, hey, like I say, everybody's got to start out somewhere.
Yep.
So, take them along. So you have people that come to you that they say they have abilities and things, like say a medium. I'll be the first one to tell you, when I first was told about mediums and all that stuff, I didn't believe any of that stuff.
Me too.
I was like, this is a bunch of baloney, that they're tricksters. They know how to listen to what you say and tell you what you want to hear. And so I never believed in any of it, until I met a lady that's on our team now, and without even knowing one little thing about me, not even my name, he was able to start telling me stuff.
Oh wow.
And so it kind of took me aback. And then when they would tell me, this is going to happen, and then it does happen, that blows my mind. So are you going to have somebody like that on your team?
So that actually brings me to Elsa.
Yep.
There was someone that we had who is no longer part API, and someone who I'm actually about to reach out to very soon. So when I first met her, she's an older woman. I completely thought that she was just full of it. I was like, this is a lonely lady who's just trying to find something to do. So she claimed that she would have like visions of things that was happening, and that she could actually project herself from her body to see things that's going on. I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, come on now. So I was like, let's put her to the test. If this is something she can do, we're going to prove it. I'm all about proving things. And so house that she had never been in before, put her in a room with one of the team members completely by herself, walked right in there, not able to explore the house at all. And then different members of the team, we placed ourselves, in pairs of 2 in each room. So she didn't know who was in what room, what was in what, in any of the bedrooms. And what I wanted was, okay, if she can truly project herself, I want her to be able to, in detail, draw who's in what room and different items within that room. And it can't just be like light switches or a bed placer. It had to be like detailed items. And so I'm in this room for like over an hour, and I'm just waiting. And next thing I know, they open the door, and here's this drawing. And it had this drawing of me and the person I was with. And in detail, I'm talking where all the wires were for like the 3 huge monitors and stuff, the Alexa light bulb changing thing. I'm talking detail, and I'm like, there's no way that this woman could have said, yep, this is where this stuff is. There's no way. So, that really blew my mind. And she would have these very vivid paintings that she would do. And they were all, we don't really say abstract though, but they were very much like what she was seeing.
Doodles.
Yeah, that's what she called them, was doodles. And they were, it was amazing though. And I was just like, you can't make this stuff up. It was mind boggling.
Oh, there was one time that I have to say that the lady that worked with us, that I had my doubts, because she was telling this one client all these things, and the lady was like, nope, that's never happened. Nope, no, nothing like that. I think she had said, hey, you have an aunt that was kind of disowned by the family, and there was a child that died, and all this kind of stuff. And the lady's like, nope, nothing like that. No, she's probably like 30 years old. You think she'd know her family's history.
Right.
And about a week later, I think she called me, and she was kind of freaking out. She goes, I had a serious talk with my mother, and she said that she had a sister that had apparently started going out and partying and sleeping with a bunch of men, had a child out of wedlock. The child died, and nobody's ever mentioned her because they didn't want to have nothing to do with her anymore.
Right.
Okay, now, how the hell do you know that kind of stuff,
Yeah, that's some detailed stuff there.
It's very detailed, so, but you have to be careful, because there's people out there that are charlatans. They're just out for themselves and that kind of thing.
We've met a few, so I know I am very familiar with that. So I mean, and for us, it's not about getting famous. It's not about that. What we want to do is, our goal is to help these families. There's families that are in need. They're already going through enough. Like, that's why everything we do is free of charge. We don't charge a thing. It's 100% about going in there and helping these families. And my favorite thing about what we do is, when we go into a home, these families are broken. They're not only are they going through this traumatic experience, but they've probably been broken for a very, very long time. Which is heartbreaking. I'm talking, they don't eat together. They, at night, they're all in their own individual rooms. They don't even communicate. And what's really great about what we do is, I'm finding, is at the end of the day, I say the day, it could be weeks, when all is said is done, these families are closer than ever. The last house we were at, it literally brought tears to my eyes, because they were sitting together, holding hands, and they're like, you know what, we're going to go to church tomorrow. And they had not been in years. And, and I'm not someone, I don't believe that you have to go to church, but just to know that they were really, truly coming together as a family again. Like, they realized what was important. That just spoke volumes to me. And that's what we're about. It's not about the fame. It's about bringing these families back together to being a family, to focus on what's really important, and to heal, that negative energy. So that's what we're about.
Totally understood. I mean, I'm with you. Church is a great place. It's a place for you to kind of recharge those batteries when it comes to your spirituality. But I have a problem with religion in general.
Right. Yes.
Because it's man-made rules. It's not what the Bible says. So
exactly. We were just talking about that.
Your church is where you sit down and you worship. So it could be,
absolutely,
a closet.
And the Bible says, when two or more come together in my name, that is church. It's people coming together. So
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So, all right, which one of you is the one that got hurt?
I did. I did.
What did you do?
I actually very recently broke my tailbone last week, actually. I was getting out of the shower, and my cat, who she likes to kind of take a shower with me, she gets in the corner, and as I'm stepping out, she kind of goes right under. She's been doing this lately. She'll just go under my feet, and I hit it on the faucet. So I actually fractured it in two places. So right at the point, and then the part that connects the tailbone to the what is it called?
Spine.
Not to the spine, to the I can't think of the word. It's like not my hip, my pelvis. There you go, pelvis.
So you think that these cats love us, but then I think they're trying to kill us. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because
that's why I'm a dog person.
It's a one cat. I have a Rottweiler and stuff like that too, and that's like my baby. But this cat, I don't know what's wrong with her. I just saved her too.
Oh my God. We had one, because I have to go very gingerly down the steps. My spine is deteriorating, so it's very difficult for me to walk, and that's why we're trying to find a one story. But this cat decides to go right under my feet, and I already can't balance myself very well.
Yeah.
And I ended up slipping, and I went all the way down the stairs. So I'm lucky my arm came out of place, but that was the only real damage that happened, Thank
Yeah.
God.
Oh yeah,
I didn't
that's
even.
no fun.
That's not fun. I get up
No.
and I'm like, oh man. My wife goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." And she didn't want to tell me because she didn't want me to go into shock or something that my shoulder was completely
Yeah.
off to the
Yeah.
side. Then
Oh.
when I got up, popped back into place, and she's like,
Oh gosh, that made my arm hurt. That made my arm hurt. Oh no. Mm-mm.
All right, so let's say there's a bunch of different investigators, and somebody's going out to find which investigator they want to come do their home.
Mhm.
What would you say would be to have them pick y'all as the best choice?
Well, we don't really worry much about more or less the propaganda side. We are straight facts. We are just going to lay it on the table. Some of us are going to like us. Some of us are not going to like us. We don't care. We're just going to say, hey, this is what you got. Point blank, nothing to it. Very cut and dry type sort of stuff.
Well, I think another thing too is, we don't care what walk of life you come from. I will cater to whatever belief you have, whatever we need to do to get the job done. And that's why we welcome people onto our team that are not just Christians, not just, you know what I mean? We invite everybody because really it's truly a team effort to get these things out, especially, we're all about healing. We don't charge everything local is completely free of charge. I don't care if I have to leave at 2:00 in the morning to go there. I'm on call 24/7.
Yep.
I will come. So completely free of charge. The only thing we ask is if we're going long distances, we would appreciate, gas donations. That's really the only thing we care about. And that's why I think it kind of sets us apart is we're not out for money. We're here to help, to truly help heal the family from the inside out.
Yeah, that's how you can tell a good team is that they're just in it to help folks.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Of course, curiosity as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all about research and learning.
I had somebody contact me one time and said, how much do y'all charge to come do an investigation? I said, we don't charge anything. And I was like, really? The last people I talked to charged $50 a room. And I'm like, are you kidding? They're in it for the wrong reason.
Right.
Yep.
And then of course you've got those that, they're looking for that fame. They want to be on television. TV is really not as great as people think it is.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I have a little bit of experience with that, and it takes at least 5 years before you even start making any real money.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And number two, a lot of times they want you to compromise your own principles when you do these shows.
Yep.
Yep.
There's only a handful that you can say actually what you see is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ones that they've got a crew member behind the corner,
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear that knock? Did you hear that knock? Or somebody chunked something across the room.
Everybody wants to be Zach Baggins, you know what I mean? And that's great. Everybody wants to, but the reality is not very many make it that far, especially, when you're doing it just because you really enjoy it and you want to help, and really for us, it's about learning and understanding these things. Because the spiritual world, nobody knows. We know very, very, very little bit about it. And that's the same thing with the urban legends. Nobody really knows. You hear these theories and these stories, so what we're doing is we want to go out there and we want to find out the truth. We want to do what we have to do to try to really figure out what's going on, kind of like river monsters. That's kind of what I related to. I want to know like what's real and what's not. So I'm very naturally overly curious person. So
yeah, another opinion I'd like to ask from y'all is, do you think that the activity is getting more and more nowadays simply because the veil is getting thinner, or that it's just become kind of more popular and people know a little bit more about it?
Okay. I'm thinking it's getting a lot worse nowadays. Yes, but only as in the sense of it's 2020. We've had so far January. What episode are we in?
2020 is the reason.
Yeah.
No.
We've had almost a civil war. World War III, plague, like all this stuff, and it's just been getting everyone so depressed and so negative, and all this negative energy is coming out of the woodwork. And this whole year is just bumming everybody out, and it's making these entities feed off of it.
I agree with that to a point, but I also, let me just say, like, back in the day, you know, when my parents, you know, were younger, it was completely taboo. You didn't talk about those things.
Right.
You know, my dad, he'll tell me stories because he's still a skeptic, but he tells me stories about footsteps he heard, you know, in his house as a kid and doors opening, but you just didn't talk about those things. And I think now it's becoming not so taboo. People are more willing and open to talk about these things and to share their experiences. So whether it's occurring more, I mean, it's possible. I mean, revelations is happening. You know what I mean? It is possible, but I think it's just becoming more acceptable too, to where people are willing to talk about it more.
Exactly.
You know.
Okay, the one question I ask everyone: what is your holy grail of investigations that you'd like to go to that you haven't been to yet, or that you may be going to?
I want to say right now, the hanging jail. So we took some pictures in
That's-
Louisiana recently on the outside. And we actually had tried to go inside, but due to COVID and everything, right now they weren't allowing anyone in. So we want to go there and actually do a shut-in for like a night or two, set up our cameras and really see what's going on. I mean, you could hear things when we were walking around outside. You could hear like the rails moving. I mean, and you know, there was no wind. I mean, and these are heavy steel rails. Like, it takes a lot of power, you know, or knocking on the window. So I really just overly excited. I really want to just go in there, shut myself in. I don't care if it's in a cell. I want to be in there. And I want to see is there something truly going on, or is it just an old building that creaks? You know, I really want to know. So that's what I want to do.
So Nathan, would you say she's the bravest one out of the group?
Definitely.
Maybe the craziest. I don't know. Bravest or craziest. Who knows?
The bravest and craziest.
Probably. I have no fear. You know, as a child growing up, my mom, she would try to find ways to scare me through like every scary movie. And I would sit there and just like, man, this is awesome. This is so cool. And I mean, it's really hard to scare me. So.
So is there anybody in the paranormal field that's kind of like your hero?
Ed and Lorraine Warner, you know, I loved what they did. And I think honestly, probably a lot of other groups would probably say the same. You know, they're the godfather and godmother of the paranormal industry, you know, and they did it because they put a lot of heart into what they did. You know, and it's something that they truly believed in. And I would say that's really who my inspiration pulls from.
Oh, I actually had their grandson on our show not too long ago.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he's a really nice guy. He's over in the UK now.
Okay.
Wow.
But
wow.
So how can people find you? Social media, websites, all that good stuff.
We have Facebook. I'm gonna let you take over this because she's actually the one that created everything. She knows all the fancy usernames and stuff. So I'm gonna.
I do the administration. Okay.
Yeah.
So Facebook is actually PF-Investigations and Research Inc. That's our Facebook. And then our Instagram is PFIR-910. So that's where they can find us, and we also have email. That's all we have set up right now. We do plan on getting a Twitter set up and everything else. So I mean but right now, that's kind of where I don't want to overdo it right off the bat. You know, I want to build things on those and start from there. So
Yeah. We have a Twitter, but I mean, other than posting the videos on there, I never use the stupid thing.
I've never really used it too, so I'm just kind of like, do I really want to? I mean, I don't even know I don't even have it. I don't even know what to do with it. I just, you know, you hear about Trump Twitter. That's about the only thing I know. So.
And people get so ugly on there. That's another thing I don't like about it.
No time for negativity. No.
No, we need to focus more on the positive.
Yeah,
always.
Bring each other kind of together again. Otherwise, we're just going to stay divided.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So is there anything else you'd like to end the show
on? I'm pretty much good.
I was going to say, replace fear with curiosity. You know what I mean? It might seem scary, but, you know, call the experts. We're here to actually dive into it and find out what's going on for you.
Yep.
So if people are in North Carolina and they need a paranormal investigating team, they need to give you all a holler.
Yes, give us a
Always.
call. Give us a
Anytime.
call. I put our business cards out there, you know, and everything with our contact information. I'm on call 24/7. I don't care what time of the day it is. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to try
No
to
problem at all.
let's share it as much as possible. We want people to know who you are and what you're all about. And
Sounds great. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And if you're in Texas, you need to let me know when you're coming.
Oh, I
All right,
will. I
sounds
will
good.
be reaching out to you actually when we come.
So hopefully in the future I'll be able to do some traveling. We'll get out to North Carolina and y'all can take me.
Absolutely.
Yep, that would be great.
That would be fantastic. Yes.
Take me to the best eating places.
I'm all about it. Hey, it's my kitchen. The best eating places. I make the best food. I'll cook for you. So.
Hey, that works for me. Well, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody that's joined in and have watched the video, or you're listening in on the podcasting platform. Tongue-tied. And tune in again as we feature another great team, just as Nathan and Ashley. I remember. Yes, I remembered.
You got it. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Po boy.